Welcome to the AI Lab Unfiltered podcast. We have a good episode. It's another Pete and Drew episode. I am Drew from BizStream. I'm joined by Pete from New Wave.
Good morning. Hello.
Big shout out to Think Tank Thought Leadership and Studio Jefferson. It's a beautiful place to have a podcast, and it's a great company to have a podcast with. It's a turnkey solution, production, engineering, editing, social. Heck, they'll even help you put it together and come up with a name and the background, everything. Like that was all done in collaboration with the vision that you and I had to put this together.
They do your makeup?
They do my makeup. I'm getting hair plugs next week. They're amazing. So I definitely want to give a big shout out to those guys. They're awesome. We love working with them. If you're looking to do a podcast, look no further. Just talk to them. Hit them up on LinkedIn. Hit them up on the website. Just talk. Hit us up.
Yeah.
We'll give you the lowdown on all of it as well.
Make the introduction.
Yeah. Happy to.
Yeah. If you want to be cool, have a podcast. And if you're going to do a podcast, do it with Think Tank Thought Leadership, Studio Jefferson.
Yeah. We definitely pick up chicks from this podcast.
So many.
All right. Today's topic, we're going to continue talking about manufacturing. And we're going to talk about, this is a big one that keeps coming up almost every episode with a lot of different industries. We're going to talk about job displacement fears and workforce augmentation in manufacturing. Kind of two halves. It's the fear and it's kind of the pros and the cons with it. So I recently read an article of a company, it was in Australia, and they actually implemented this, I want to say mid last year. And they built a $53 million AI-powered smart factory. And they have autonomous, I'm reading a little bit of this so I don't forget my notes, autonomous intelligent vehicles and collaborative robots. And they had a term that I've never heard about. It's called a cobot.
Okay.
Yeah, not GoBot from when you were a kid.
Yeah.
It's a cobot. And these handle repetitive tasks and kind of the heavy tasks, and it frees up the humans to do higher skill roles. And that's one thing you and I have been talking about is don't look at it as it's replacing. It's going to elevate you and it's going to evolve you into the higher. It frees you up to do other stuff.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, what I'm actually seeing in a lot of these roles in any industry is those people are now becoming managers with a team, and the team is AI workflows, AI robots, AI productivity.
Yep. Yeah, the idea of managing AI agents is a real thing. If you've never built one and you're like, well, why would somebody need to manage AI? Well, because it's like anything that we as humans build, it's flawed.
Yes.
And if you're not familiar with the term human in the loop, there are things that you can trust with high probability to AI, and there's things that you don't, where you want to have a human be that last check, somebody who's informed, somebody who knows the subject matter and is like, okay, yep, that's good, go. Or nope, that's actually really bad. That's the wrong answer. We got to jump in here. We got to don't do that thing, or whatever it is. But there is 100% a future for a long time of people that are going to be managing AI agents.
Absolutely. And we've seen it in other industries as well. There's a hospital in China right now that they're running with all AI doctors in there. And they definitely have some humans in the loop. They have facilitators essentially that are handling this to make sure this is working well. But it is working very well, like better than what they expected from the results that they're getting at this point. And it's still fairly new. And it's a different mindset to walk in and go, I don't know if I trust an AI doctor. But when you start seeing the results of, oh, the AI doctor is 95% accurate, the human doctor is 75% accurate, making those numbers up, don't hold me to it. But it is definitely more for the AI right now in certain tasks, in certain subjects, in certain skill sets, if you will.
And even with that, they're not saying that they're going to just push out all the human doctors,
right?
You know, that it goes back to your earlier comment about augmentation. How much better would a human doctor be with AI assisted? So, ingesting, you could take care of more clients because you don't have to know everything about every client. The AI can ingest all of their past histories, everything that they said when they did their intake, and present a really good overview to the doctor to say, okay, yep, and even make recommendations like, hey, we think that it's this or it could be that. And then the doctor's making that final determination.
Yeah.
The doctor can do also what they have wanted to do all along and spend a little bit more time just building a relationship with the client. And that's what the that's what the patients want too, is they want to feel like they have some kind of relationship with their doctor, like the doctor
Right.
does care, but because they have to do all this paperwork and they have to, take care of all these other things in their practice that can be augmented with AI, you go back to more relationship building, and that's a better experience for both sides, the doctor and the patient.
Well, and to bring it back to manufacturing, just like you said, it's AI assisted. It's allowing, it's not like a robot's going to come walking in and push you aside and say, I'm taking over. This could be AI that's measuring with sensors on a machine to give predictive maintenance recommendations of this machine might go down. This is quality control. It's helping augment a lot of that to where you as a human have a bigger tool set at your disposal to use, not necessarily, it's moving humans to much more complex roles.
Yeah. The things that humans are good at.
Exactly.
That are going to be more difficult for, and that's, if you're just joining the workforce or you're thinking about making a career move, it'd be worthwhile even using AI to say, okay, where would be a good pivot to an area that's going to be harder for AI to, not say replace, because there's certainly it is going to be some of that, but where are the jobs going with AI? And there's a lot of studies, and even the companies like OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, Anthropic, they're telling you, like, they're producing reports and they're saying this is where we think these things are going. Do that research and figure out where they think it's going, because they're building the future, and so they're telling you where to go.
So let's talk about pros and cons. I did some research on pros and cons to consider, and these are just kind of general. And this is just literally from our viewpoint. Neither of us work in manufacturing. We work with manufacturers. So we're trying to uncover what those needs are. We're trying to uncover what those pain points are to then address with AI solutions, AI strategy. But the actual nuts and bolts of it, that comes from the manufacturers. We just have a decent amount of working knowledge or better at this point of that. So pros and upsides, obviously you get efficiency gains and productivity gains you're getting out of it. Some of the risks that, and it depends on if it's management or employees as well, different viewpoint, different lens. Is it going to be job replacement, or are they going to have anxiety for that, or any kind of layoffs that come with that? You mentioned before the sales force laid off a bunch of people. Is that going to take over going forward? Is there another pro that I've seen with predictive maintenance and the quality control? There's better safety now as well.
Yeah.
The machines are taking over some of those dangerous tasks so humans don't have to. Again, elevating us up and out of that, just trying to change that mindset for our viewers of where to look for those opportunities that could be in there, or to look at it with an open mind. One of the fears that I actually heard, I know I'm rifling through a lot of them. We can unpack some of these. One of the other fears that I heard was the fear of surveillance, of AI, employing AI tools to, well, now it's going to be another, not just camera looking at me, but now everything's under scrutiny with AI because there's different systems you can put in place as well.
Yep. Maybe go back in reverse order. So the surveillance thing is something that I've thought about a lot. And it is, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. For me, it is a concern. Because when I think about where AI could really help with process documentation and helping improve workflows and things, is you could set up a camera that feeds AI and it's watching what you're doing. And when a process improvement expert is behind the scenes saying, hey, here's how you can improve that process. The AI learns it, and as it's watching, it can say, okay, I see what you're doing. If you were to move these parts over here, you're moving less and you're becoming more efficient, things like that. Like AI could definitely at some point help with efficiency like that.
Yeah.
But it's also watching everything that you do.
Yeah.
So if you're that person doing it, you're going to say, well, I used to be able to kind of fuck off a little bit on the job.
Now I'm getting micromanaged the whole time.
When I saw the manager turn and go around the corner, I could, sit down, or I could, go talk to Steve over here or whatever. AI doesn't go walk around the corner. It doesn't take breaks. It is always watching. I think for that, it comes down to if I'm the person, if I'm the business owner there, you can only take people so far.
Right. You're talking utilization rates.
Yeah. And then if you squeeze and squeeze and squeeze, they're going to go somewhere else. So there's going to be some self-limiting things there.
Leeway.
Yeah. So I don't.
I think on that point too, there's another probably smaller segment, but there's another segment too where it's like, well, when can I think about how to improve my job? And this goes back to, is it replacing our critical thinking at all? Because if I had something that constantly monitored and said, oh, here's how to make it more efficient. Well, do it this way. Here's how to make that more. And it just keeps constantly tweaking it. Number one, there's a lot of, it is added pressure in some circumstances. I guess in some other ones, it would make it actually easier for your job because you go, well, that's way more efficient to move this once versus 16 different times. But also, I guess I would think, well, when can I input my human value of let me critically think and how to figure this out as well? And I guess that's where I go, if you're a manufacturer, if you're the owner, if you're the leadership, make sure you're involving that person to say, how are you normally doing this? What have you seen yourself before we implement anything? And this goes back to finding that need. Which way would you do this better? Like, how would you improve upon this? Because that allows them to then think that through and go, here's how I would do that. And you can shape your AI around that to take in a lot of those factors.
I agree with that too. In any scenario that we can dream up here, there's going to be some not nice business owner or leader who's going to use this to put the screws to somebody. Right. They can do that now without AI.
Yeah. So that's not an AI thing.
Yeah, it's not an AI thing.
Your boss being a dick.
Yeah. They're going to be a dick no matter what the technology is. So if you're in one of those spots, you have choices. You can go, we can try to find another place to work or whatever. And now that's easier said than done. But that's not an AI issue. Right. Where I would like to see it go is that these business owners, these leaders, as AI makes things more efficient, we're thinking about, instead of replacing people with AI, can we handle more clients? Can we produce more parts with the people that we have? Yeah. And at some point, we have this many things that need to get out. And then when that's done, that's done. So whether you want to take 8 hours to do that, or if you want to do it in 4 hours, you have a little bit more leeway. You're
talking about increasing the quality of life.
Exactly.
Augmenting your job using AI to increase productivity and output with the same amount of people without taxing that person. It's augmented by adding on machine learning AI to increase the output, not directly from that person. That person manages that essentially.
Exactly. This is going to be a little pie in the sky, but hang with me for a little bit. What if the AI 8-hour workday wasn't the norm anymore? Right. Because of the efficiencies that have been created with AI, what if it's a 4-hour workday? Or what if it's a 3 or a 4 day work week? Or it's still 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, but there's breaks built into that, where there are communal areas where teams can get together and they can build and strengthen their team, get to know each other and bond and do those things to make your life at work that much more enjoyable, because it's not just the grind. It's, hey, we're paying attention to the personal side of this too. Like, that's where this should go. and again, there's going to be people who don't give a shit about people, and they're just going to try to squeeze and
Right.
But again, that's not an AI issue. That's a people issue.
Well, I'm glad I hung in there. So, and to that effect, that's a leadership thing that has nothing to do with AI. That is your company valuing you or not? I mean, that's really, is the company valuing profit or people? And they go hand in hand. You gotta have one and the other. But our company has actually looked at that before, recently, even again, going, our leadership's looking at it going, we love our team of people. If we can add on, fantastic. If it makes sense, it has to be, being financially responsible. But can we build our workforce to output the same amount or even more in 4 days? And then everybody gets Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, we have weekends off already, but take Friday off as well. So now we have 3-day weekends.
Yeah.
We still get paid the same amount or even more, depending on how much we're outputting. Clients are still happy. Everything's still getting done. I mean, that's how we've looked at it.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate enough to be at a company that is thinking like that versus, how do we replace all our people because people suck and I'm sick of dealing with them.
Right.
And it just trickles down. I mean, you can go way down a rabbit hole there and go, well, now your people feel more valued. The stress level goes down, stress goes down, health goes up. Your health benefits can then decrease at some point because it's less of a worry, less of a burden. The profits that are going up covers more benefits. I mean, there's so many avenues to it.
You just said something that I love, in the idea that those kind of policies can become a magnet for recruiting. If you could say, hey, instead of trying to squeeze everything out of these people, we're still going to produce, and we're going to produce more because we've learned to implement AI and we're more efficient. We have more throughput, but we're only going to be as good as the people that we have.
Yeah.
Like you said, the Bitstreams, like we love our team. And so how do we get more great people? Well, instead of just getting the most blood out of this rock, let's create an environment that people love to work at, and where there is more time, there is flexibility. It's a shorter work week or shorter days in the work week or whatever it is. And I guess I'll say this to our friends at the right place. And your goal is to be a magnet for industry and technology and these companies to come to West Michigan. How about we start coaching these business leaders on how to create those environments and what to do when you have those efficiencies that come from implementing AI? And what if this becomes the new hub it's a destination for, where people want to work. We already have the most beautiful summers that you could ask for. We have the best people that you could ask for. We've experienced this in all of our work with AI and all of that. Now let's become the best place to work for and draw people in that way.
We even have I keep talking about my company, but it's the real world experience I have. We have a policy of recognition too. So for us to encourage people to not just use AI, but how do you make your job more efficient? And AI is a lot of parts in there. We recognize that in the company. We call them out once a week in our big company meeting and say, hey, Nick did this and implemented this. Look how cool this is. Well, sometimes we have lunch and learns around it saying, Nick, can you show us how you did that, how you built this to make it more efficient? That gets other people going, oh, I never thought of that. Let me do this for my job now. Now you got a whole culture of people going, how do I make my job more efficient? Because not only do I get the recognition from it, but that can also come in a financial recognition and go, you know what, you've been kicking some ass this year. We're going to give you a raise. Yeah. What else can you do for us? It just elevates you from there and writing your own ticket.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it too, is recognizing the people that are leaning into AI, that are digging into the processes and the workflows that they're responsible for. They're looking for ways to leverage that. They're making the people around them better. I do see a future in the very near future where whether or not you're taking AI classes is a part of your annual review, because there's going to be an expectation that you are learning this and that you're growing within the organization and looking for ways to implement it.
And that goes along with any industry, not just, we're a digital agency, but this goes along with anything. So in manufacturing, again, your person running that machine or handling that process knows more about that than anybody else in that role. They should, because that's why you hired them. That's why you trained them.
Yep.
That's why they're in that role. So to tap into them and say, hey, we're thinking about putting a new process together or updating our process. We want to implement possibly some AI tools, software tools, or automation of some sort. Can we interview you of how you do your job, how you set up the machine or how you change it out or whatever that machine outputs or does, how you currently do it, and how if you had the ability to make some changes, how would you change that? Kind of going back to what I said earlier, but kind of unpacking it a little bit more. And for them to go, oh, I actually have an opportunity to do this. Yeah, here's how I would do it differently. That data, going back to where are you getting the data from, how accurate is it? That's going to be way more accurate than anything else because that is a person doing it.
Yeah. And if you're listening to this and you're like, well, yeah, but I'm not the person who thinks like that. Well, here's good news. You can have an AI coworker that you can talk to and brainstorm with, and they can get that out of you, and they can be a thought partner with you and help bubble those ideas up. And then it can, after that conversation, it can just automatically ship that to leadership and say, hey, here's a brainstorming session we had with Drew, and helping people, because not everybody thinks the same way. Like,
right.
I'm a very visual person. It's hard for me to understand things if I don't see it spelled out. So for me, my AI would know that, and it would put things in a visual format for me to like, hey, dummy, look at it this way. And oh, okay, now it makes sense. It can do that and help get the best out of people because it knows how you learn and help, like I said, draw that out of you.
Yeah. Or like we've talked about before, ChatGPT, just adding in or talking to it and adding in saying, hey, I'm trying to make efficiencies at my job. And I run XY type of machine for this kind of company for this output. I have ideas of how to make it more efficient, but I don't know how to express that. Like you said, I don't know how to put that together in not necessarily a report, but into some concrete feedback that leadership wants to know. You could literally type what I just said in there and say, help me draw that out. Ask me questions so you have a better understanding, ChatGPT, of what I'm trying to do so we can formulate this together. And it will literally go, oh, okay. Here's the first question.
Yep.
Answer this part. Now answer this. Now answer, and it'll build that up and say, here's all the information I have. And you can make a report, you can make a graphic, you can do whatever you want at that point with it. It's a great learning tool.
It really is. I don't know if you have this in your notes, but the idea that, we've only talked about how AI can replace certain parts of your job. And in some cases, let's not bullshit ourselves, be able to replace certain roles because it's a digital role, it's repetitive, and it's going to be able to do those things. That's the lower hanging fruit for people that are looking to implement AI. Do you want to talk about like what jobs can be created with that, or is that not part of what you wanted to hit on?
We can. I do want to touch on right before that though, because we're talking about people, we're talking about management, just different viewpoints between each, because a lot of management, it's about ROI. Yep. It's about your people, but it's also about ROI. If you're not producing something and getting it out the door, you can't keep the people. So there's a lot of excitement, I think, coming from management levels of just the cost savings that can be implemented. I'm talking like augmentation of it. Cost savings, the consistency, the increasing speeds on a lot of stuff, the ability to scale with fewer errors because it's machine learning at that point. Mm-hmm. And like you said, attracting new talent, tech-oriented talent that knows how to do this as well. I mean, that's definitely coming up. And just having better, cleaner data across the entire operations just to make better decisions. I think some of the fears that I'm seeing from management and manufacturers is the upfront investment risk. It is costly. It is a lot of trial and error in a lot of cases. And there's definitely, we talked about this before, there's definitely an uncertainty around ROI.
Yeah.
How do you measure that when it's so new? It's bleeding edge technology, or nobody does it like we do, and we make the special widget, or we're in the special niche. How do you then go to your CFO and say, hey, why don't you cut me a couple $1 million so I can implement this?
Right.
I think this is going to speed stuff up.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And then the other part, I think, is just the pushback from the culture and just the low adoption internally from employees. I think that's a huge one, that a fear almost of, how am I going to roll this out without being condescending or instilling fear in all my employees that, hey, we're going to replace you. Going back to the micromanagement theory of it.
The resistance to adoption thing, we've talked about this on here before at New Wave. We've been vocal to our employees that we are not going to use AI to replace people. We just want to get that right out of the gate. And I can't remember exactly, but I believe VidStream has said the same thing. Like we're not looking to cut people. We're trying to replace our entire workforce with AI.
Oh, my last day is next week.
Nice knowing you. I guess you got more time to work on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll be on the podcast from here on out. No,
but what a great way to start, because that just eliminates a lot of fear there. If you're being honest, and there are companies in the past that have said, hey, we're going to do this, or the government or whatever, and they change their mind or whatever. That could happen too. Again, bad people are bad people regardless of technology.
Yep.
But there are way more good people than there are bad people. And a lot of them are in leadership positions, thankfully. And I would encourage them to come out and say, our goal is not to replace you with AI. We appreciate what you're doing, but we have to position ourselves in the industry to maintain our position. If our competitors do this and we don't, there aren't jobs to keep.
Right.
If they push us out, because we have to compete, we have to find a way to implement this technology, but we're going to do it in a responsible way. We're going to keep you, unless there's reasons that we wouldn't keep you, but it's not AI related. But we want to be able to do more as a company with the same people that we have. If we can generate more revenue with the same amount of people that we have, then there's more enough to go around for everybody, right? Like, if raises are limited because our margin is low,
right?
If we increase our margin, can we give people bigger raises, or maybe not even bigger raises? Could we build a gym? Could we, have these other things in place that improve that work-life experience?
Yep.
But yeah, it goes back to just having a plan. And if you just show up on a Zoom call one day and you're like, we're going all in on AI, and you don't spell out certain things, you're going to instill a lot of fear in people, and you're going to get resistance from the people that could be helping you implement AI.
That's what I'm seeing too. The same thing is am I going to lose my job entirely because we're going to put this in, or am I going to get replaced with a machine, especially with a lower skill set, or not having training in place? It's one thing to say, hey, we're going to implement this. It's another thing to say, we're going to augment your job so we can elevate your position into something else, and we're going to train you to do that. Because we believe you're the right fit, even going forward, for this next evolution of that. And now you have the ability or the opportunity to manage that AI component or workflow and help us with that data. I have seen some excitement from the employees. I don't know if this is a generational thing. I'm guessing that plays into it. But relief from that repetitive, physically demanding part of it, where they're going, ugh, thank God you have something that's going to be in place right here. Of course, that question mark, where am I going to go? What am I going to do with it? But there's there's a smaller segment, I think, that's growing as this unfolds, going, oh, okay, I don't have to be as fearful, but this is going to help me with my job, and here's how I can embrace it.
Yeah.
In the opportunity, like I said, to upskill and go, then we have a training program to move you. Well, I want to do that because I want to become a manager at some point. But I don't know if age plays a factor in that. Again, I know it does to some extent. It always has to everything we implement. We're going to have a gym at the office. I don't want a gym. And it's I don't know why someone would say that, but they do. But just having that that excitement in there in some segments. I think that's going to start growing over time as we unfold this and as we learn more about this.
Yeah. The other thing that I think about too is think of all the shit that you're not doing because you don't have time. And you're constantly firefighting, whatever the emergency of the day is, that this is what dominates your day. So you can't get to the 3 things you had planned on doing that day because something blew up. Or, hey, I've got this email from a month ago that I haven't replied to because it's not real urgent and I've got other things that I'm doing. Or, hey, I was supposed to document this process, but documentation can wait because I got to take care of these urgent things. Like when you can start to replace some of those repetitive tasks that require very little of your brain to operate, but it still needs to be done, and AI can do that. It doesn't completely eliminate all the things off your plate. It just eliminates that thing. Other things will now fill that vacuum.
Yeah.
Things that are going to eventually, probably things that you're doing because it's going to make your job easier. It's going to make somebody else's job easier, but it's not a fire, so you're not going to get to it. Now you can get to those things, and now the company improves because of that. So that's one thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, email replaced a handwritten letter, and once we switched to that, it's not like everybody. Oh, I got 3 hours of my day back. I'm not going to do anything.
Exactly.
But watch a new series on Netflix. That didn't happen. We put other stuff in the place of it. And so it sped up, and that was just a tool. You still got to come up with what the content is. You still got to make all the clicks and send it out.
Yep.
This is the same type of thing. Same type of thing. I do wonder, going back to the age thing, now that I think through a little bit more even, what happens if, and I know companies are looking at this because they have dealt with it even before AI, what happens if people are less willing to retrain or pivot into that different role? Then what do you do? I mean, at that point, you don't have the right, as your company evolves, your people need to evolve with it. And again, you can eliminate fears. You can offer training and offer those opportunities, but they have to be willing to take it still.
Yeah. And like we said earlier, that's not an AI thing.
No.
That's existed before AI. If the company's moving in a certain direction and you decide you're not going to go with it, then you're going to start to stand out, and eventually you're probably not going to be with that company anymore. There's probably a great spot for you in another company that does it the way that you want to do it without getting whatever. But business owner, it's their business and they want to take it in a certain direction. You are an employee of that organization. Certainly you could have input, but if that's where they want to go,
right,
you got to go with them. That's part of the deal. So,
yeah.
Do you want to talk about where I thought you were going to go with that is, if you can replace somebody, what are they going to do? Or if they decide to not go, what are they going to do? Like, there is an eventuality where if there are a bunch of jobs that get replaced, like there needs to be something around that. And you hear a lot of talk about universal basic income and what, I know I'm taking this like in a very futuristic area. It's not next year. It's not the next 10 years, but eventually there's going to, as things do get taken over with AI, and by that 10-year mark, you're going to see, I think, a lot more with robotics and things like that too. So we haven't talked about that a lot on here, but that's something to consider in the far future.
Yeah, and I think that's hundreds of years away, to be honest. I don't see that soon. My conundrum that keeps going through my head, and I'm sure there's a scientific explanation for or reasoning that can be added, is if everyone is replaced by AI and robotics, who's making the AI and robotics, number one, if all the jobs have been replaced? And that's great. I have a robotic housekeeper. I have whatever the lady was on Jetsons folding my laundry. But how did I buy it? And you can go, well, universal basic income. Where's that coming from? That's usually an export of goods and services that we do outside the country. Like if you look at it just from a country. So
Yeah.
you can only replace so much before it goes, well, all the billionaires are going to run the world. How are they going to make money? Nobody's going to buy it. Nobody has income.
Yeah, they've talked about an AI tax. So if corporation A is able to become super profitable because they've implemented AI, they've replaced a bunch of things with AI, and a portion of that profit goes to this pool that then gets distributed to people, essentially like an AI tax. It's no different than welfare today. Yeah. Right. It's just expanded because there are fewer jobs available. I don't know that I can't see where we get to there's no jobs at all. Somebody needs
I don't either.
Could a robot fix a robot? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Maybe in the hundreds of years. Yeah. Depends on who you talk to. You listen to Joe Rogan. He's like, 10 years from now, there won't be any jobs. And we need this safety net for people because they're going to have to buy food and big screen TVs somehow.
That's what I keep thinking is how are you going to buy stuff? Like, and you're not going to stop at one thing. You're going to want to, that's why people have side hustles. That's why people sell stuff. That's why people, to increase their income, to buy more stuff, to do more things. I mean, even universal amount, okay, what else can I do to go on top of that? If I'm already getting this, how do I increase that? I know, that's a whole different path.
Yeah. I swear there's not vodka in here. This is water. But if you really want to get weird with it, like sometimes I think like, is that the end of the game? Like if this is a simulation, is that the end of the game? Like, okay, you figured it out. You figured out how to not work anymore. And now there's not work anymore. We don't have shit for you to do. So game over,
Done.
Start again. Yep.
Go back to caveman days.
Yep. Here's the next level. We got to start over.
Simulation. All right. So what other aspects do we feel with augmentation, with fears that we're hearing in manufacturing?
I don't know if we've talked about it on this particular episode or not, but like the technology is incredible today. People adopting that technology nowhere near where people have to be fearful of all these jobs getting replaced. And I think about it for my job. So my role, director of operations for this managed services provider, I would love it if AI replaced me. Because then I could do other cool shit, right? Like it could replace the parts of the job that I don't like. And in order for AI to do that, I would somebody or I would have to literally sit down and train that AI on everything that I do and everything that I'm responsible for. You can't just go to ChatGPT 5, the most advanced model on the planet right now, and say, be a director of operations for New Wave Technology Partners. Go. It's going to be like, okay, well, I need to know a lot of things.
Yep.
So you need to train it to do that. And it needs to be able to respond to emails. It needs to be able to look at reports, and it needs to be able to have give feedback to employees. It needs to be able to interact with clients when something doesn't go right. Like somebody has to train it to do all that shit, and that will take a long time. And that's just one director of operations role at one specific company. That you can't take that and plug that into another managed services provider because they have different tools, they have different clients, they have different things that they want to do for those clients. So then they got to train their model in a completely different way that's bespoke to them. That's one role.
Yeah.
That's years of training probably to do that and going through all this and training that model for one role in one company. Now you got to do that for the president. You got to do that for the CEO. You got to do that for the service desk manager. You got to do that for the project manager. You got to do that for our project technicians. You got finance.
And then as a company changes, you have to implement those changes.
Yeah. So like, don't like start freaking out that your job is gone. Start to think though about how you can replace the shitty parts of your job with AI and just start there. Your life will improve. You're still going to have a job. They're going to give you other things to do in your time.
Right.
So that's the way I wouldn't be fearful. I would be hopeful that all the bullshit that I don't want to do would go away. Like, I'm excited about it. Like, yes, replace me, but replace the parts of this job that I don't like and let me do the things that I want to do.
Exactly. I think that's a great place to end it, because I agree 100%. I always joke around about how it's going to replace jobs. It's not. It's going to replace the shitty parts of your job, and it should.
Yeah.
Again, I say it so many freaking times. I'm sick of hearing it myself, but it's going to evolve us as a species. That this is the next new tool that revolutionizes how we work.
Yeah.
And it's the industrial age all over again with AI. So awesome. This is a good episode.
Yeah.
I think.
It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks.
I would like and subscribe, and I think everybody else should too.
I actually have.
Oh, jeez. I think it throws our stats up. So if you have a comment, if you work at a manufacturer, if you have, I don't want to say put your fears in the comments below, but if you have concerns, if you have what you're embracing with it, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love any industry, but we'd love to hear from you to kind of get a better understanding from our viewers of where you're seeing advantages to AI in your company and where you guys are expanding it. Other than that, thanks for joining us, and hit like and subscribe. Thanks, everybody.